Hey everyone, Cute and Fluffy back at you. Alright, so today we're going to talk about cat diets in 2022, right? So, obviously you've seen Night Fury on her channel. She is an adopted tortoiseshell female kitty. She's still in her kitten phase. She's an indoor kitten. I'm going to talk a little bit about her diet as well as cat diets in general, and the difference between dry, wet, what we've experienced with Night Fury and what you should try, what you could try, and what might work for you, right? Cats can be fussy eaters. Night Fury definitely has not shown fussiness so far in her very early stages of her life, but I've had cats in the past where they are incredibly fussy, especially from a kitten stage, where they don't even want to try kibble, they only want to eat wet food. And if you do want to wean them onto kibble, there are strategies you can use, for example, like adding lukewarm water into the kibble to soften it up, and even milk just to soften up the kibble. But anyway, that's another video to come. Today we're just going to talk about cat diets in general and what options we have. So you have dry food, which is your standard kibble, obviously. You have wet food, which I don't have any examples here, but essentially it's your canned food varieties for cats and kittens. There's Fancy Feast, there's Purina, there's Hill Science, there's every brand, as well as a lot of general stores and supermarkets sell wet food, right? And what do we think about when we think about dry food and wet food? What should you feed your cat? That's the biggest question I think people ask. And what's the difference between wet and dry, and why would you use one or the other? Would you use both? Well, I guess first we can talk about the pros and cons, right? So the pros and cons of dry food that people will find is that it's convenient, right? It's convenient, it's dry, it stays, it's got some longevity, it stays in good shape. It's fairly cost effective. You can get cheap options, you can get the more expensive options. It's free feeding, so it's grazing. You don't have to worry about it smelling or going off. You just put it into their bowl and they can graze at it all day. Although not recommended by a lot of veterinarians, just because that's generally where you might find some overweight kittens and cats, because they're just consistently grazing all day. Cats have different, I guess, feeding habits compared to dogs. Doesn't mean that they eat less. You still should, I guess, kind of manage their portions. The other, I guess, a pro for dry food is that you can use food dispensers, especially if you're away for a full day or even overnight. You have food dispensers that can accommodate kibble. You can't do food dispensers for wet food, unfortunately. That would just be horrendous and attract way too many insects, and God knows what state your dispenser will be in once you get home. Not recommended for wet, only for dry. You've got dental benefits with dry kibble, and that's basically looking at, because it's dry, it's a bit tougher, it's good for their teeth, right? It cleans the tartar out of their teeth. Generally keeps their teeth in good condition, especially if you get the high quality dry kibble. Other, I guess, pros or benefits, high energy density, right? So they've got a higher energy density compared to wet food, meaning that they're getting more energy from dry kibble. There's more balanced nutrients at a higher content. So that's one of the other benefits and pros of dry kibble. Some cons is the moisture and hydration levels, right? So there's less moisture, there's less hydration in kibble. Cats get a lot of their moisture from wet food and water, right? I did read something interesting about how cats over, I guess, the years since their days when they were in the wild, I guess, and moving to different climates and geographical locations around the world, they haven't adapted their body to the way where, rather than having more water when they're hydrated, they change the way they urinate. And I think that's quite an interesting factor. But I guess the way you would hopefully keep them hydrated is have plenty of water bowls around, or access to water, right? So obviously if you only want a dry diet for your cat or kitten, just make sure that there's a lot of access to water, right? Let's talk about wet. So wet food, we're looking at, the pros are hydration, right? 70% moisture. They're getting a lot of their hydration from wet food. It promotes them to go to the bathroom, which is also good, healthy bowel systems. Lower energy density is a pro to an extent. There's a weight management factor there where they're keeping their weight under control with that lower energy consumption, but it's also a con, meaning they're getting less energy from the food. And also there's other factors which I talked about before, which is bowel benefits, constipation, etc., etc. Cons, it can be a bit pricier. You go through it a lot quicker, so you're often buying a lot more wet food, a lot more cans, and the dental hygiene. isn't that great in regards to it doesn't clean their teeth. We had this with Night Fury where their breath smelled, like her breath was really smelling after wet food, so we thought, okay, let's go away from the wet food, let's do some research, talk to our veterinarian, and we've kind of focused and honed in on a really good dry kibble option, with the alternative or supplementary item, which I'll talk about soon, which is lean meat. Thing about today's dry food, it's really, really good quality, right? So brands like Hill Science, Eukanuba, Purina, and Royal Canin all make incredibly, really, really good dry kibble, right? They focus on having high quality ingredients, balanced nutrients, and are recommended by veterinarians, right? You'll see this on the packet, Science Diet, veterinarian recommended. I don't just have this here just for that statement, but it's literally on all those brands, the packaging. It's been tried and tested. This one's a nice little chicken recipe for an indoor kitten. Another bonus is that they specialize for breeds, skin coats, joints, ages, etc., etc. So you have like cat, you'll have a cat option, a formula option, you'll have a dog option, you'll have a schnauzer option, you'll have a Berman option. It's just because they add these few little tweaks where it's going to help them with their coats or the way they shed their fur, or it's just crazy how it's gotten that technical and scientific, but it's incredible if you want your animal to be incredibly healthy, and there's literally a diet or option for every single cat and dog. But let's talk about lean meat. At the end of the day, cats are meat eaters, right? Plain and simple. They need a strong source of protein to have a strong heart, good vision, and healthy, productive systems, right? If you're a breeder, that might interest you. Our vet, as well as other veterinarians, have recommended to add good quality raw lean mince or lean meat to add texture, and also cooked lean meats, right? So really good quality, either lean raw or lean cooked. This adds texture, it adds very high protein and hydration to a high quality diet, right? So in that sense, it's like a supplementary option for us. So I thought, okay, we don't want to go to the wet food, we don't want to do canned food, we want to do dry kibble, really good quality dry kibble. We've chosen Hill Science. I've done our research, and we now add lean mince, right? So lean raw mince, she loves it. She'll come running for it, but essentially it's a very high quality, low fat, lean raw mince. It's going to get high protein source from there. Very high hydration levels as well. We add that to her diet, whether it's with the kibble or additional, but also that you have to balance it with it. So for example, you wouldn't give it to her every day, or you wouldn't give it to them almost or every second day. You would kind of maybe do it 2 or 3 times a week just to give them that additional protein source, additional hydration. That's where so that's a kind of our strategy with Night Fury, and I think that's a good option for you guys if you're looking to, or if you're wanting to know what should I do, right? At the end of the day, it's what works for your cat. If you have a fussy cat, try the options of dry or wet, see what they kind of sway towards. If you do have a fussy cat and they only eat wet food, and you do want them to get on the dry food, then just play around with it, right? Start leading them onto dry with wet, or try a raw meat. Do your research, talk to your veterinarian. I'm not a veterinarian, I'm just telling you what I've experienced. Down below in the description, I've linked some amazing options for you guys through Amazon. They ship all over the world. All these brands are on Amazon. Hill Science, Eukanuba, Purina, these are the best cat food brands in my perspective. I've worked with these brands in the past. I did 2-3 years in a pet store working directly with these brands when I was younger, so I do have some experience with them. I do like what they do. They've got focuses on having healthy animals, and if you want a healthy animal, then ideally that's the brands that you want to partner with in regards to feeding your animals and what food and life you want to give your animal, right? Your cat, your dog, your pup, whoever it is. Yeah, so have a look at the description below. There's some, I've given you guys a few options. There's obviously dog foods, there's cat foods, depending on what breed you have, or what cat you have, what age you have, what if they've got any ailments, any skin conditions. There's options, all the options below you have. Otherwise, please reach out if you have any questions. If you like the video, subscribe, hit like, stay tuned for more. But essentially now I'll just obviously Night Fury's bowl is a little empty, but I'll give her a bit of kibble. Ideally, we look at only feeding her twice a day, but I have been guilty of, you know, sometimes she's meowing and I'm like, I'll give you a little bit more and you can kind of graze, but this is probably just definitely enough for the day, and I'll give her some raw mints just to give that little hydration for the day. And she's come running, look at her, she's already here, she's waiting, she knows she heard it, so that's her option there. She'll probably go for the raw mints first, and I'll be happy with that. She has enough kibble. Just another point from my end, she loves hill science. Oh, she's just too focused on me now because I'm nice and low with her at the bowl, but she loves the hill science diet. We've tried Purina, we've tried Fancy Feast, we've tried another company called Noob, and ever since we got the hill science, oh yeah, she just runs to it, doesn't have any issues with it at all, doesn't think twice. Now she's obviously being very attention seeking by the looks of things, but otherwise, yeah, she'll get in there, she'll have her raw mints. She loves it. There we go. She'll go at it first. Great. Yeah, she'll pull out of her bowl as well. I don't know if you guys have cats that do that as well. It's like they need it out of the bowl before they can eat it. But otherwise, check out the links below. Subscribe, show some support, and stay tuned for the next one.